Welcome to Eligible Monster, guys. My name is Natalie. This is Andy, and today we've got another Listcussion for you. That is just, sorry, completely blanked out. Woo.
Okay, Natalie, thanks for having me.
I didn't say thank you for being here. Thank you for being
is
here.
from whatculture.com.
Sure.
And it is the 10 outdated video game tropes that must die.
I can already see one from all the way over here. Probably.
You're not that far from me, but okay.
Sorry. Jesus Christ. You know, it's the saying, Andy. Just bear with me here.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me do my thing, man. Jesus.
You do you.
Probably the collectibles. People hate that.
Yeah, I could say that would. If I was making a list, that would probably be on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Despite what the doom and gloom crowd might tell you, video games are better than ever. There's more diversity, artistry, and choice than in the history. Oh no, it went away.
And it's gone. Improvise.
In the history of the medium. That said, the state of things are also pretty damn far from perfect. As technologically advanced as gaming has become in 2019, some developers aren't quite so quick to move with the times.
Right.
But have instead leaned back hard on some of the laziest, most outdated, and straight up out of touch ideas possible.
But I feel like those outdated ideas is what makes a video game. If you could then it's just a movie. You know what I'm saying?
We haven't got the list, though. I would say it depends
we'll
on the idea itself.
Let's
see. These 10 trends are all pervasive throughout video games, often regardless of the genre. And though they are frequently complained about, it sadly doesn't seem like most of them are going anywhere anytime soon. All right, so let's take a look.
Let's see it.
Number 1.
Are you sure it's 10?
We have actually complained about this on several occasions.
Have we?
We have. So I'm sorry. Number 10. Yes, you were right. Thank you.
You're fine. Number 10.
Number 10. Forced walking sections.
Red Dead Redemption.
Both of us have complained about this several times.
It's true.
Because developers realized they couldn't really get away with an unskippable cutscene acting as a disguised loading screen anymore. Over the last decade or so, there have been a steady increase in the amount of forced walking sequences in narrative-driven video games, which probably the biggest one. And even though I loved Red Dead Redemption, I did complain about that, which was like the 10-minute walk down a beach.
That's what lost me, dude.
Yes. These sequences will typically serve as a break in the action, as the players are forced to slow walk while talking to another character and being spoon-fed plot exposition. Some especially egregious examples include Gears of War, which they did a lot in Gears of War.
They did?
Yes. It was usually in between small action sections. You would have just like a hallway you would walk down, and your squad would talk.
That's right. The latest one I've played was 4, I think.
I can't honestly. Probably 4 was the last one I played as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the latest one. I mean, the latest one that came out was 5, but that came out like a month ago, not even?
No, I don't think it's not even out yet. Didn't they just announce 5?
Was it a demo then? I feel like people have been playing it on Twitch.
I don't
maybe
think
it was a demo. I don't know.
So Gears of War, Last of Us also had a lot of those. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Most recently, Anthem. Didn't play Anthem.
Dude, didn't you play Anthem? You said that you...
Nope. Had no interest in playing. Nothing I saw about Anthem made me want to play that game.
Okay, so I think it was Ben. It must have been Ben.
Yeah. Ben did talk about it, so probably Ben. Which allowed players to move around their home hub of Fort Taurus at an agonizing snail's pace, presumably in order to pad out the game's minuscule amount of launch content. That's pretty funny.
Red Dead was not like that, though.
No, so so you were forced to walk in camp. Whenever you entered the camp, your base speed did drop.
Yep. And you had to leave your horse as well, I think.
What's that?
You had to leave your horse as well?
You did,
far
yes.
away, yeah.
I would say that's presumably for a few reasons. One, there was a lot of story beats in the camp that they assumed they wanted you to see, which you still didn't have to. You could just wander off and people would still be talking. And the big one was obviously the, spoiler alert, there is a part where you leave the main continent and you're stuck on an island for a couple hours.
God.
When you first arrive there, you do have to walk down a beach. The idea is that, you're super tired and blah, 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 blah. But
I know,
it was obviously to load the island. That's realistically what it was for.
Yeah,
there was no the worst part was there wasn't even any dialogue.
I know. Not even like a monologue or anything.
No,
it was just nothingness.
There was music playing.
Yes.
But it wasn't even, to me, it wasn't even the more, because there was several moments throughout the game where it was kind of a cinematic moment. You're riding your horse, sunset, some really good music played. It wasn't even one of those scenes. It seemed, and I sitting there going, okay, how much longer am I going to have to walk down this beach? I promise you,
that's exactly my entire thought process too. I was just like, how long have I been doing this for? It feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Maybe that's what it was. It was actually, you died then, right? Stay with me.
Oh, God.
You died, and that island was hell.
I mean...
Anyway, number 9.
Yep.
Detective vision.
Batman?
Well, Batman, I would say probably...
Actually, any detective games, right?
Pretty much, but it's not just Batman anymore.
I know.
Originally, it was, I want to say Assassin's Creed was the first one to do.
Yes, Eagle Vision, right?
Eagle Vision, yes.
Yes.
And then Batman. However, it has also creeped into, well, let's just say this. Ever since the release of Batman Arkham Asylum, the detective magic vision trope has become exceedingly popular, especially in open-world third-person action games.
Yes.
The mechanic typically allows players to switch to an alternate viewing mode where they can see an enhanced perspective of their environment, singling out enemies, combat possibilities, collectibles, and so on. Mm-hmm. It appears in the likes of Assassin's Creed, Dishonored, Last of Us, Tomb Raider, Witcher 3, the more recent Hitman games, and Horizon Zero Dawn, to name just a few.
That's right.
Dishonored was you had the heart, so you could see bone charms and blah, 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 blah. Last of Us. So I will say in video games it makes sense to me when there's...
hunting.
That's it was hunting, yeah. But in video games it makes sense if there's a reason behind it. So Batman has his cowl, right? Detective vision.
Makes sense.
Sure. Mm-hmm. You would think probably Batman would have something like that. Mm-hmm. Assassin's Creed, you're kind of a mystical assassin, a little bit.
And the Piece of Eden kind of makes sense.
It's kind of Piece of Eden. Yeah. I could see it maybe. Mm-hmm. Dishonored, it was a magical heart.
Yeah.
So
and you have magic in the game.
Yeah,
so
and you have magic in the game. Mm-hmm. Tomb Raider, The Witcher 3, it's supposed to be his Witcher senses.
That works too.
I could see,
works too.
Hitman.
Yeah, I mean...
Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, I
Horizon
understand
Zero Dawn, it does make sense because it's all
Okay.
technological.
That is true. Yeah, you're right.
So
I could see from a plot point how it would make sense, but then I also think it's a little lazy at the same time. One, it's a lazy on developers' part, and I think it's also kind of lazy on players' parts because you don't have to look as hard. Because I just hit a button and it'll highlight everything.
That's true, but what if there's absolutely no other way to find out
see,
where the target is?
Yeah.
That's what I mean too. There's just so much behind that you just I don't know. You don't know what their reasoning was.
That's true.
Essentially. So
let's see what they say. It's basically a lazy way for developers to hold the player's hand and ensure that everyone can make their way through the game no matter what. See, so that's basically
it's the same thing as if you think about it, it's the same thing as a mini map and just
true. Or a HUD, or I mean, really,
exactly.
90% of gaming tropes is to make the game easier for players.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Realistically,
absolutely.
Because a lot of the times it would be more immersive if you didn't have it, but then you also, a lot of players wouldn't want to do it because
you're right.
I just got to wander around this.
Yeah,
you're not going to point me in the direction I need to go.
Yeah, or they would be so annoyed at just having to look at a guide or something, or on the internet every 2 seconds. The same thing. Yeah.
Let's see. But
I'll tell you what game does not hold your hand. Dark Souls.
There's no Dark Souls. There's no Souls vision.
There are multiple ways you can go, and you can never really. I mean, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. But you can trace back, and unless you actually look for the dialogue,
right? But then you also you look at it from the other view because while very popular, obviously, there is a very large portion of the community that also says those games are too hard.
True.
So it's like that.
That's true.
So yeah. So if you're a developer and you want your game to reach the largest audience possible,
you just gotta hold your absolutely. Yeah.
I would prefer it if a lot of games had the option to turn these off. I think that would be cool.
That would,
because there are a lot of like Witcher. You can turn off the hub, you can turn off the minimap, you can turn off everything, and it would just be your Witcher senses.
Man,
so
that's a really good option. Actually,
yeah, like maybe is that way for players who want a little bit of a harder experience. Turn all that crap off.
But anyway. I mean that would be a fix right there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know how much
just
it requires development wise.
Like Batman, it wouldn't work because
no, it wouldn't.
Yeah,
it wouldn't.
Anyway,
sorry.
No, you're good. Number 8, stopping the game to dump exposition.
Okay, what kind of games are they giving an example of here exactly?
Well, the images of Horizon Zero Dawn. Let me see here. So we got exposition-based, don't show. Storytelling is one of the laziest, most irritating narrative devices that a game can employ, and it is used constantly. While games like Uncharted generally do a solid job of keeping the labored chit-chat minimal and allowing a lot of action to do the real talking, too often games will simply stop the player dead in their tracks and vomit up reams of robotic information about the plot and the characters. Perhaps no AAA game in recent memory has done this quite as blatantly as Horizon Zero Dawn, which throughout its campaign required players to watch numerous post-mission hologram recordings, which ladled out the plot in the driest and most yawn-inducing fashion possible.
I remember it. It was at the very end of the game where they were basically just giving you everything you needed to know about her past and whatnot. And it was literally just walking through the area and just stopping every 5 seconds with a hologram and just giving you everything. And it's just like, why do you have to stop me?
Yeah, no, you can do this while we're playing, right?
Yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid franchise is the undisputed king of this trope, which I completely agree with. While I love the Metal Gear Solid franchise, they are huge on, you enjoy that level? Here's 45 minutes of cutscenes.
The cutscenes, man.
Let's see, with Hideo Kojima frequently serving up cutscenes of up to an hour in length, which mechanically outline the hilariously convoluted plot. Also true about Metal Gear Solid games. I love them, but still. As entertainingly barmy, don't know that word, as the Metal Gear Solid games are, they're also a prime example of how less can be more. Nobody needed to sit through a solid 40 minutes of story, much of it visually bland codex conversations, just to get to the final boss in Metal Gear Solid 2. A lot of games do this, unfortunately, like especially not always for story-driven games, but it does happen where you're just like, hey, by the way, you enjoyed that level, but now we got to tell you more of the story. It just happens.
I'll always remember when I was sitting there watching Ben go through Metal Gear Solid, and he finally beat it. Lord. And it was like 3 p.m., right? And he was like, finally, we can get some lunch.
Yeah.
He beat it,
and like we
were done at like 5:30 or something.
It's crazy. Yeah, the end of the cutscenes. Now, I will say there are a lot of story-driven games that I would say do not do this. They go in the BioShock. There are no cutscenes in BioShock.
Not really. I mean, if there were, there was like maybe like at the very beginning, at the very end.
Yeah, it's small. There's obviously a cinematic at the end, but I would say BioShock very much gets its story across in the actions of the players, the world around you. The dialogue from the radios, which you could still play while listening to. You don't have to, stop and listen to it.
Yep. And at any moment, you can also just go in your menu and just re-listen to the diaries that you've picked up.
If you were missing it because of a gunfight or something like that.
Yep. That was really well done.
Number 7, pointless collectathons. Yep.
Dude, I'm sorry, but I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm a sucker for them. The Far Cry's, the Assassin's Creeds. I'm a completionist, so as soon as it starts,
obviously that's your. Now I'm the opposite way.
If I don't, it's gonna bother me.
I
will not be able to sleep, Andy. You don't understand. It's a problem. Please help.
Gotta get that last eagle feather.
I really do.
Me personally, perfect example. I think. No, I guess I did a lot of.
Yes.
Hold on. Hamster's running a little faster. Days Gone.
Take your time.
Days Gone.
Yes.
I reached the end of Days Gone, and I love that game. We were talking about it all the time.
Yes.
I did not do every little side mission. I did not beat every horde. I did do a decent portion of them.
I didn't either, but I did enough that he would give me the platinum. That's all I care about. I took out the big hordes, and that's all I care about.
Right. I mean, I didn't unlock every weapon.
Yeah.
I didn't do all these things.
Yeah.
Basically, when I was finished with the game, I was done with the game. I was done, So we are obviously two completely different.
Yes, but does it really matter? Because in the end, we've beaten the game, and we've probably put as many hours as each other, basically, by finishing the game.
I would assume. Yeah.
And so, does it really matter if you actually beat the game, or you just don't do everything there is to do in it? I don't think it's a problem.
No, I mean to me that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Because I know tons of people who love. Open world game with 80 bajillion collectibles on the map, and they can spend all their time. Whereas I don't. That's just me. So that's. I wouldn't say that's a gaming trope that needs to go away. I would say that's all personal.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree.
Let's see. So they say the uptake in open world games, trying to compete for players' time over the last few years, has seen this title increasingly saddle players with an absurd number of peripheral content. And though this is sometimes in the form of meaningless side missions, it is too often devolves into developers daring players to hover over hundreds, if not thousands, of meaningless collectible items scattered around the map.
But in again, going back to Days Gone, all the collectibles that you were picking up were kind of it was if you wanted to know more about the lore and the characters.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
If you're not invested in those games and in the lore of the games that you're playing, then you don't have to do all of them.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
It's not going to make as much sense when you're done with the game,
Sure.
but it's not required is the point. I don't think it has to go anywhere. Like you said, it's just personal preference.
Yeah. The Assassin's Creed games have practically taken this to a level of self-parody in the past, flooding the map with more icons than any single human being can possibly keep up with. That's not true. Ben's probably still collecting them.
But you need to fast travel, though, you know?
No, not those. Like, okay, so I did not play Odyssey, but like there was what was it, Assassin's Creed 2, where you had like the eagle feathers and things like that.
I think I've collected all
I
of
understand
them.
the fast travel, because even in like Far Cry games, I'll unlock the towers because obviously that's fast travel.
Yes.
I won't unlock all the little missions. I never did. And
The
any
character,
of the Far Cry games.
I mean, Far Cry has been doing it pretty tamely though lately.
Lately, yes, they were pretty bad about it.
Yes, they were.
Past.
They were.
Let's see, and we'll just get back.
Sorry.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think it should go anywhere, to be honest.
Like I said, I just
feel
think
like
that's your personal preference.
And it's also replayability, man. I mean, people complain when the games don't have a lot to offer, and I feel like yes, it's kind of a cheap way to just keep the player playing.
Right.
But at the same time, if it didn't have that, then people would be complaining because they'd be
The
like,
game was
"There's
too
nothing."
short, yeah.
It's like the world is shallow. There's nothing to do in that.
Right. Yeah.
In that world, I don't know. I feel like it's just like I said. It's just people are just going to complain.
Now Witcher had collectibles, which I did collect, but those were generally armor sets, which were stronger and better.
There
like
you go.
Masterwork
So,
Witcher armor.
There you go.
So that was like its own side quests and stuff. Had nothing to do with the main plot, but if you wanted these
That's good then.
really nice sets, you could get them, and I liked them. One, because you got lore for the Witcher schools while doing it. Yes, I always start talking about Witcher. And two, because it was like the best armor you can get in the game, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
let's see. Number 6, the tailing mission.
Man, so many times I've failed those because especially at the very last one, because obviously it gets progressively worse and worse.
Yeah.
And you just like, okay, we're just gonna make it easy for you at the beginning. You get it now. Okay, now it's about to get
more.
basically. And then at the very end, I fail, and I'm just like, God damn it, I have to go back and do it again. Jesus.
So let's say the tailing mission, where players are tasked with following a perp, but make sure you don't get too close, or you'll spook the mark and they'll flee the area. The Grand Theft Auto franchise is largely credited with originating the tailing mission. Didn't know that. Where players would follow a perp in their car and have to maintain a distance where they neither scare them off nor lost them from sight. Like early stealth, escort, and water missions, GTA's tailing missions were actually pretty novel and fun, but like any vaguely inventive mechanic, it's adopted by the industry as a whole until it's driven towards the Earth core like a giant tent peg. Interesting. The Assassin's Creed series is especially guilty of this, generally using tailing missions to dryly deliver exposition, while failing to complete the tale as the game intends results in a game over.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst feeling when you're just like following someone from the rooftops.
Yeah.
You get stuck last second. You're like, wait, I'm losing him. Oh, damn it.
Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot also features an infamously famous tailing mission in Act 3. It most recently, Sega's Judgment misguidedly overindulged in the tedious tailing, which I believe we were talking about as one of the Yakuza games, or an offshoot of the Yakuza game.
Yes.
These missions are almost never fun and just feel like bloated dead weight intended to piss players off, especially as making even a minor mistake so often results in a failed state. I will say this. I have never once enjoyed a tailing mission. I honestly cannot say that I've ever finished a tailing mission and went, wow, that was awesome. Probably the most memorable part of the game.
Unless it's like some kind of, well, obviously it wouldn't be as like the kind of like missions where you have to pursue someone, but you have like obstacles to try and.
But even then, like, I mean, to me, I don't know. I've never finished one of those missions and been like, wow, that was
what a rush.
Amazing. I don't even want to do the rest of the game anymore. Can I just
give me more of that
the rest of the time?
Tailing the game, please. Write this down as an idea.
Yeah. The only times I would say it is fun, I would say, I think in one of the newer Far Cry's they basically made a joke out of it where you were trying to tail somebody but crazy stuff kept showing up.
Was it in a helicopter or something?
No,
or,
it was
or
a car, and you were supposed to be
car?
following somebody, but then like stuff would come flying across the street, and like, why does all this stuff in our way? Like, where does all this come from? They were making fun of it like that.
That's good though. I love those type of games, man. The games that just make fun of themselves, you know. Those are the games that I love. Yeah. I think they were doing the same thing in Days Gone too. No, they weren't. There were tailing missions though, and those were so annoying.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I've never finished a tailing mission and went, you know what? This is the best part of this game right now.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I want more of this.
We need more. I want tailing the game. Anyway, number 5. Story choices that ultimately mean nothing.
Mass Effect 3.
That is the thumbnail, yes. If you're playing a game for the story, there's nothing more infuriating than realizing that the supposed narrative choices you're making throughout the game have little to no bearing on the overall outcome of the plot.
Absolutely none.
This was most famously the case in Mass Effect 3, which took the choices you made over the course of the 3 games and effectively cast them aside in favor of a lame, pick-a-color ending that wasn't what fans were promised, and they duly revolted.
Mass Effect 3 is the only one that really made me feel like it didn't matter what I was doing throughout the entire game. I know that 14's latest expansion, Shadowbringers, they give you a couple of options throughout the entire the story, the main story, the main cutscenes. And I know depending on what you pick, sometimes you'll get a different response from the NPC.
Okay. But overall,
ultimately,
it does not really
it doesn't change anything. Yeah. No, it doesn't. So
it's, well, I mean, that was the case with a lot of games, I feel, where it's just the illusion.
Yeah, it gives you the illusion that your choices matter, when in the end, I know that Fire Emblem is doing that. They're like, every single decisions you make in this game will impact your story.
Who knows?
I don't know, but at the same, Mass Effect 3 is the best example, absolutely, because in the first 2, all the choices mattered. I mean, the relationships that you were building, you were pissing some people off if you were going with a romantic choice,
right?
And if you weren't, and Mass Effect 3 ultimately it doesn't really matter what you picked at the end.
I forget, because I never actually played the DLC. Did the DLC change that?
The DLC was kind of, wasn't it like the whole bonding experience with your crew as like your last mission? Something like you're partying with them. They were basically, were giving you some closure when it comes to the crew. Does that make sense? Before going on that mission and just losing everyone. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think that's why most people liked it. They were like, there was no resolution. We have no closure. What happened to those characters? Well, there's a DLC where you can just hang out with your crew, and that was the whole point of it. Yeah. So.
All right, number 4. The hero almost falls to their death.
Well, I feel like if it wasn't there, then they would just.
They would almost get shot. I don't know.
No, it just would, like the thrill of like trying to keep your character alive.
Well, that's all it is.
It's just plot, man. You know, like half of the shit that people do in these video games would not even be possible in real life. So
I don't know. I got pretty good upper body strength. I'm climbing up walls.
Oh, like really, man? Really, and Uncharted, and just and Lara Croft.
For like hours.
And Lara Croft just like getting shot everywhere and still surviving this massive hole in right here. Yeah, sure, of course.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
The action-adventure genre loves to tease players by throwing them into mortal peril as much as possible. But too often these games rehash the same tired shtick to the point that it rouses more of a groan than a gasp. I've never groaned at someone hanging for their life. But anyway, the Uncharted and Tomb Raider reboot franchises are both terribly guilty of this. Of leaving the protagonist hanging gingerly off a cliff, or only barely able to reach a platform, or hell, even have the platform crumble away beneath them. We as players know that the game isn't just going to randomly kill the hero out of nowhere, so these desperation beats ultimately come across incredibly hollow. At best, it typically requires the player to spam a few buttons in order to free themselves, and with a few hours of play, it quickly feels totally played out. While yes, I will agree that it is probably used a lot during games, I would say this is no different than in any movie.
That's true.
When... let's just go with a summer blockbuster movie. Let's say, what's one that's coming out soon? Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes.
With The Rock and Jason
I think that's out
Statham.
now, actually.
Is it?
Yes.
If there is a moment near the beginning where The Rock is having a fight, oh my God, is he going to make it?
Of course he's going to make it.
You still got 2.5 more hours of movie to go through.
Yeah. That's usually my thought process when I'm like, I really care about these characters, but wait, they're the star of the movie. Exactly. So I'm sure I shouldn't be worried. They're just going to live eventually.
John Wick 3. The movie opens up with John Wick being chased by several assassins.
Incredible movie. Jesus.
It was.
God.
Odds are good. John is not going to die by these assassins in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, while it probably is very used a lot during Uncharted and Tomb Raider, it's no different than that, in my personal opinion.
It isn't. You're right.
And if you don't do it right, if you don't do the button combo, then you'll die and have to restart.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what video games are about.
That's one of the things that I think people kind of just got turned off with the Lara Croft reboot, Tomb Raider, is the way that they made her die. It was very gruesome. Yes.
If you didn't hit like a couple of buttons right, it was like you're gonna fall off a cliff. Or hit the spikes or
The latest Tomb Raider I've played was on the hardest difficulty, and my God, man, oh God, those platforming, that platforming just killed me on the inside.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm still alive, but on the inside, I'm dead.
But on the inside, my soul.
I got crushed, man. Oh my God, it's just she was impaled left and right. It's insane. No. So at least you can see what happens if you don't do the...
And that's always fun to me. Where Evil Within was really good with that too. Evil Within was like, if you didn't do the button combos or if you got caught by the monster, that dude dies pretty gruesomely.
Yep.
Number 3, and Ben would disagree with this because I feel like this is the reason Ben buys, I'm going to say 75% of his games.
Is it fan service?
Pandering fan service.
Oh my God.
As we've discovered from several of our lists about why Ben is shocked that he knows so many of those games. There's nothing wrong with media reflecting the audience's healthy interest in sex.
Sure.
But it's also fair to say that video games don't have a particularly good track record when it comes to treating players or women with much respect. The annals of gaming history are littered with titles that feature wildly, unnecessarily sexualized characters for no other reason than to pander to horny nerds who executives and designers believe can be lured in with a giant pair of boobs. If you look at one of our previous lists, Ben will discuss such an issue. From the opposite end.
From the opposite end, for sure.
Perhaps the ultimate instance of this trope is Lara Croft, whose gigantic triangular rack helped make her a pop culture phenomenon. And yes, I pronounced it wrong.
Is that really what started it? Lara Croft's
I would not say that started it. It was definitely probably one of the more mainstream. And while the game obviously was not focused on that, the marketing campaign was very much focused on the fact that this was a female in a tank top and shorts.
Yeah, makes sense.
Let's see. Resident Evil 3's Nemesis kits Jill Valentine out in a tube top and skirt combo, which even as like a 14-year-old, I thought was a very weird choice for... the apocalypse.
14-year-old?
Whatever age I was when that came out.
Right.
I do remember saying, why is she dressed like that? Yeah. But that was probably more of like a younger, naive me being like, was she at a club when the zombies
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know.
My
Halo
God.
makes the character of Cortana needlessly sexy.
And
sexier with each progressive game.
But it's an android, though.
Yeah, it's a sexy android. Technically, it's a hologram.
That's what I meant.
Batman Arkham series takes exactly the path with Catwoman your gutter brain would expect, but that's just Catwoman.
Yeah, it's Catwoman, man. Yeah. Are we not going to talk about Poison Ivy?
Poison Ivy, and even just Harley Quinn. At one point, she's just a naughty nurse.
It's true.
I think that's most of it.
But Poison Ivy is kind of just, you know.
Yeah. Let's see where I lost track of where I was.
Sorry.
Heavy Rain features pointless shower nudity that adds nothing to the story.
So awkward scene.
I did not play that game. So the most prolific franchise offenders, however, are probably. You want to take a guess?
I can think of some fighting games, maybe Senran Kagura.
That would probably be true, yeah. But Metal Gear Solid
Eva?
And Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy?
Yes, which indulges this trope at least a few times in every game.
Tifa?
Let's find out. The first Metal Gear Solid game literally asks the player to watch Meryl's ass jiggle in order to figure out which soldier she's disguised as. This is true. While Metal Gear Solid 3 features countless suggestive glimpses at a scantily clad Ava, and then Metal Gear Solid 5 goes fully off the rails with the skimpy clothed Quiet, who is dressed as such for the dubious reasons of absorbing nutrients through her skin.
There you go.
Yep.
But like that's the thing though. So okay, so when she needs water, she showers.
Right.
I understand now.
Yes.
Okay, I remember. But Kojima was pretty. I mean, you've seen him just hiding just weird posters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Just,
This
is a developer,
is that
man.
fan service or just perverted developers? That's
you
the
decide.
question. As for Final Fantasy X had Lulu, whose watermelon-sized breasts were barely contained beneath a coat held up by a few belts, while Final Fantasy 15 had Cindy, the beautiful mechanic who bore her cleavage at all times, no matter the possibility of spilling hot engine oil on her chest.
I mean, they're not wrong, but 15 is more trying to cater to that specific crowd. But Lulu, yeah, sure, she had her boobs out, but...
So now that makes an interesting argument. It's when practicality is sacrificed in favor of cringeworthy skin peddling that it becomes problematic. Although it's also fair to say that some games are so about their sexiness that it is decidedly easier to tolerate, such as Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, and Bayonetta.
There you go.
Which basically feels like a parody of oversexed video games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
what sells, though.
Yeah, I was
man.
like, sex sells. I don't know.
It
what
really
to tell you.
does.
Like,
I was gonna say that too, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna actually say the 3-word game. It's fine.
that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, yeah, it's what's been selling the
Yeah,
entire.
I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately, and it would go away if people would stop buying it.
It's not gonna happen.
But that's probably not going to happen. Number 2, forced optional missions. Pretty much any major RPG or open world game these days will feature heaps of additional optional side content alongside the main campaign. And offer these peripheral missions will far outweigh the size and length of the core story. But optional is the key word here. Otherwise, why not just make it part of this core quest line? Looking at you, Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah.
Did play it. Revenant Kingdom, a game so flabbergastingly disappointing for numerous reasons. Least not that it throws up several brick walls over the course of the story, requiring players to complete what were initially suggested to be optional side missions. I will say I do not like this. I don't mind side missions in the game, obviously, and a lot of times I will do them. I do not like when the story is level capped and I am forced to do side missions or side content.
So any MMOs really?
Right.
This is
Which
what you would not
I
like.
have listed several reasons why I do not enjoy MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
Players have recruit a certain number of citizens to the kingdom throughout the game, requiring them to participate in short yet soul-sappingly dull fetch quest mission for hours on end.
That would be JRPGs for you.
True. That is, yeah. I mean, it was kind of the thing. One of the reasons I don't really get into JRPGs these days.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
very rarely do you hit that sort of content like first-person shooters or side-scrollers and that sort of stuff.
It's very straightforward. It's just get from point A to point B and just do your thing and then just get a cutscene for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So number 1, I 100% agree with, and I laugh at Ben all the time with me because he says he agrees with me, and then we learn things like he's endlessly grinding in Fire Emblem. The number 1 reason, unreasonably grindy unlock requirements.
So in mostly multiplayer games, right?
So that's basically what it says here. Grinding is a core component of many games, especially RPGs, but in more recent times, it's practices that become roped in the gameplay loop of some unconventional genres, such as shooters and sports games. This is entirely the fault of microtransaction-based game economies, which place desirable unlockables in the far distance and present players with 2 options. Tough it out the hard way, or for potentially hundreds of hours to unlock anything, or just buy some virtual currency and unlock it in seconds. Looking at you, Benny.
Again, it's a multiplayer game. I understand why they would want to put hours behind it because they still want people to keep playing it for as long as possible. So I understand why they're doing it.
But it also depends to me. So certain games, Call of Duty did it all the time. If you wanted to unlock the new guns, you had to level up. Or if you wanted to unlock new skins for your AK-47, you had to get kills with your AK-47. So it's not unheard of, and I'm not saying I've never done it. I actually, if it's the type of thing where you can pay for it, like let's say I have to, I don't want to pay for it, so I'm going to have to grind to get the AK-47, and it's a far better gun than anything I can possibly own now, and Ben just pays $20 to get it, that would irritate me because that's a
win,
pay to
basically,
win, and I don't like that. If it's merely a cosmetic thing, like if I have my AK-47 and it looks the same, Ben wants the golden AK-47, so he spends $5 on that. Sure, okay.
It doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. The pay to win, I do not like.
Yeah, I don't think anyone likes pay to win, to be honest, except the ones that are doing it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say obviously somebody likes it because they're still doing it.
Yeah.
These games all thoroughly disrespect customers by dangling a carrot miles away, allowing them the opportunity to effectively buy their time back with a workaround. It's pathetic and undermines the sense of reward players get, because when you unlock a character or an item after giving it your all and truly earning it in something approaching a reasonable runtime, of course, it feels great. Knowing that someone else has spent $50 on tokens and done it with a few clicks creates a wholly uneven and unsatisfying player dynamic that's just gross. Yeah. But like I said, I would say if it's a cosmetic thing, who cares? That's a personal preference.
And no one will ever be able to tell too. They'd be like, "Oh, did you spend hours grinding too?"
Right,
yeah, sure, I did.
Totally,
yeah. It's
if it is for a pay to win type of thing, or if it's for the best armor set in the game. Yeah, I don't like that. I think that's a terrible thing.
I agree too, man. I agree too. I mean, if it's someone who doesn't have, if it's someone that needs to have this in order to complete a raid, to raid with their friends, I kind of understand, because they don't have as many hours as some others. Yeah. And if they want to just be on the same page as their friends that they have more time to play,
right?
If they just want to catch up that way,
it's true. Recently, I got into Destiny. When I purchased it, there was a thing that I could level up my guy instantly to the top level, or I think of level 30. So I skipped most of the content, and while it was suggested I do that, I also wanted to get through the content. So I actually just grinded through the content.
Yeah.
I call it grinding, but I actually played the game. Is really what it boiled down to. I didn't grind. So I guess in some senses it can be good. I just want to I don't really care about all this early stuff. I just want to get to the part where I can hang out with my buddies and we can do stuff. So I mean, it gets it just it all depends.
It really
a lot
depends.
of these, I would say, a lot of these are tropes of video games that just are very prevalent in our entertainment these days. Our video game developers these days, I don't say they all need to die. A lot of them are just personal preference.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you don't like games that have this stuff,
there's just other options out there.
There's other options out. There's so many different games out there now.
Yep.
That are all technologically crazy that if you don't like grindy multiplayer games, don't play grindy multiplayer games.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
If you don't like fetch quests and optional side missions, don't play JRPGs.
It's pretty straightforward. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's not like we only have 2 or 3 games to play a year.
No, there really is. It's not like that anymore. Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
exactly. So it's like if that's not, because I mean, there's plenty of games you and Benny both like to play that I don't.
Yeah.
So I just play other games.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my opinion on the list. I mean, it's not a bad list. I just think
it was a really good list.
Preference.
Yeah,
yep.
100%. I mean, but all of those are points that we've seen across social medias of when games come out, people are just complaining about. So that's those are valid points.
This one's grindy, or this one's don't play it. Go play something else.
I agree, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this list, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. If maybe you have a valid point that they haven't mentioned, let us know. You can find Andy on Instagram at 4amthendy, and you can find myself on Twitter or Twitch at Zolekwa Candy. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye, everybody.